Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. At AM 630.
Happy Thursday to you, 7:37. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson. Congratulations to Gregory Feen of Burtonsville, Maryland.
Hey.
Winner of a pair of tickets to see Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band in concert at Nationals Park on Friday, September 14th. Tickets go on sale this Friday, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Tickets.com. And listen tomorrow for another chance, your last chance to win free tickets. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band from 105.9 FM and AM 630.
Very cool. Very cool.
Stuart Varney joins us now from the Fox Business Network. Good morning, Stuart. Good to have you on again.
Hey, Brian, always a pleasure.
So, Benny B yesterday, Ben Bernanke, chairman of the Federal Reserve, said we're not going to do anything, but we are willing to do things. We remain prepared to take additional measures if necessary. What did you make of those comments in the press conference from Ben Bernanke yesterday?
Actually, I was listening more closer to a different set of comments, also by Ben Bernanke. He raised his forecast for economic growth this year. He says it might be as good as 2.9%, and he lowered his forecast for the unemployment rate, moving it down to a range of 7.8 to 8% by the end of the year.
Do you believe it?
I personally, well, look, I don't make forecasts. I look at what's going on right now. And what's going on right now is that the economy is heading south. It is weakening. It's not strengthening. And the unemployment picture is darkening, not lightening. So I'm not inclined to agree with Ben's forecast of the future, but I won't contest it. I will contest his view of the current moment in time.
All right, well, then where does he see this optimism coming from, then? If the current conditions indicate the reverse from what he is saying, why is he saying by the end of the year things will be better?
Well, he says, I think he's saying that the recent bad news on the economy is an aberration, a result of maybe seasonal factors. And he says we've still got to worry about the Europeans and China and all the rest of it. I think he's looking at the long-term trend and saying that it ain't as bad as the current situation suggests. Again, I don't make forecasts, but I've got a hard time believing that we will achieve a near 3% growth rate at the end of the year. I've got a hard time believing that. And I've got a hard time believing that the unemployment rate will drop below 8% unless a couple of million more people drop out of the workforce. Then that's quite possible.
I want to talk to you about a guy named Al Armendariz, who is the regional director of Region 6 for the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. And it seems that we've been pointed in the direction of this by Senator James Inhofe, who says there's a video, and we've actually played the sound from it earlier this morning, of this guy saying, here's how you deal with oil companies. What you do is you take the first 5 that you see and you do what the Romans did to the Turks. You just crucify the first 5 people you see, and then, by the way, the town gets to be a lot more manageable, talking about what he would do to oil companies. Your thoughts?
Are you trying to tell me that the Obama administration does not have a war on oil? Yes, they do. You trying to tell me that they had an even-handed opinion going into this administration? Oh, no, they didn't. They went right after the oil companies, regarded them as public enemy number one, demonized them right from the get-go, and now you've got this guy using that kind of extreme and, frankly, offensive language. Crucify? Dearie me.
Oh, well, hold on a minute now,
a whole lot here.
Stu. Now, the administration's doing everything that they can possibly do to put more oil into the system so that the gas prices will come down. That's what they tell us.
Do I detect a sarcastic
No, I'm just
there,
repeating what they say.
Yeah, just what they say. Get out of here. You know where they're coming from. They hate oil. They just hate it with a passion. They hate it. 2 generations of left-leaning Americans have hated oil, and it's no different from now from what it was 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. They hate it. They want to do it down. They'll do anything to murder big oil, in this case, crucify it.
All right. Meanwhile, the Department of Labor is going after farmers and saying, hey, your kids, they're going to have to adhere to certain restrictions that are being in place for kids working on the farm.
I am really fired up and steamed about this, Brian. I got to tell you, not many people know it, but I am a farmer.
Really?
Yeah, I own a tree farm. I produce hardwood timber.
Okay.
And I've got a lot of children, including 2 boys who a few years ago were teenagers. And they used to drive the tractor. They used to chop wood. They used to stack logs. They used to drive skidders. They've done all of that in their teenage years. Hilda Solis at the Labor Department wants to make that illegal, wants to make me a lousy guy for allowing my teenage boys to work on my farm. This is outrageous. Is there no element of my life that this government doesn't want to control, regulate, and inspect? Dear Lord.
It said under the rules, children under the age of 18 would no longer be able to work in the storing, marketing, and transporting of farm product raw materials.
Right. So you can't drive a tractor, you can't drive a gator, you can't drive an ATV, you can't feed chickens, by the way, because that would be interfering with livestock.
Well,
there's so many things you can't. You can't do. The ultimate, of course, is you cannot use a power-driven screwdriver.
See, how do you get away with this? Because there's so many. I mean, this is a bipartisan issue where you have, congressmen and senators representing farmers, throughout the country would say, we can't do this. Come on, this is the way it's been in America since the beginning of time, since we started the republic.
Well, that's a very interesting question, because this is not a law. This is not legislation that's gone through Congress. This is an administrative proposal rule. Now, how do you get around that? How do you nullify it? Well, I've got Cynthia Lummis, Republican Wyoming, on my show this morning on Fox Business Network, and she's going to tell me how we get rid of this monstrosity. I don't know what she's going to say, but she's got a proposal to just kill this whole proposal in the first place.
When I see something like that, the question always comes to my mind, why is that rule in place? What is it what's their motivation for having such a rule? And I always come back to the sneaking suspicion it has something to do with labor unions.
You are precisely right, Brian. That is at the heart of this proposal. Labor unions, via activists, say that child labor on farms is wrong and dangerous, and that they are going to refer us to the